This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices settled more than 2% higher on Friday as Russia's port of Novorossiysk halted oil exports following a Ukrainian drone attack that hit an oil depot in the Russian energy hub, stoking supply concerns. Brent crude futures settled up $1.38, or 2.19%, at $64.39 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude settled up $1.40, or 2.39%, at $60.09 a barrel. Brent rose 1.2% on the week, and WTI posted a weekly gain of around 0.6%. Friday's attack damaged a ship in port, apartment blocks and an oil depot in Novorossiysk, injuring 3 of the vessel's crew, Russian officials said.
U.S. energy firms this week added oil and natural gas rigs for a second week in a row, energy services firm Baker Hughes said in its closely followed report on Friday. The oil and gas rig count, an early indicator of future output, rose by 1 to 549 in the week to November 14, its highest since October 24. Despite this week's rig increase, Baker Hughes said the total count was still down 35 rigs, or 6% below this time last year. Baker Hughes said oil rigs rose by 3 to 417 this week, their highest since October 24, while gas rigs fell by 3 to 125.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Private oil and gas investment in Colombia is expected to fall again in 2026, but companies could reverse course late in the year after presidential elections, the head of the country's main industry group said on Friday. Leftist President Gustavo Petro, whose term ends in August next year, halted new hydrocarbon exploration contracts as part of his push to reduce Colombia's dependence on fossil fuels and promote solar and wind energy projects, efforts that have met with mixed success. Oil output and investment both dropped year-on-year in 2024 and are expected to do the same in 2025.
China's crude oil throughput in October rose 6.4% year-on-year as refiners ramped up throughput on improving margins. The world's second-largest oil consumer processed 63.43 million metric tons of crude in October, according to data published by the National Bureau of Statistics on Friday, equivalent to about 14.94 million barrels per day. The daily rate slowed by 2.1% from September's 15.26 million barrels of oil per day, which was the highest level since September 2023. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Gold prices dropped 3% on Friday on a broader market sell-off, sparked by hawkish remarks from U.S. Federal Reserve officials, dimming hopes for a December interest rate cut. Spot gold fell 1.9% to $4,092.72 per ounce, as of 2:33 p.m. Eastern Time, 19:33 GMT, after falling over 3% earlier in the session. However, bullion is up 2.3% so far this week. U.S. gold futures for December delivery settled 2.4% lower at $4,094.20.
China's Guangzhou Bourse plans to begin trading futures contracts for platinum and palladium, used in automobiles and jewelry, from November 27, as part of Beijing's efforts to enhance its international pricing influence. The first batch of trading will start from contracts with maturity dates in June, August and October 2026, the Guangzhou Futures Exchange said on Friday. The bourse will start trading options contracts for the two metals from November 28, according to two separate statements.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday rolled back tariffs on more than 200 food products, including such staples as coffee, beef, bananas and orange juice, in the face of growing angst among American consumers about the high cost of groceries. The new exemptions, which took effect retroactively at midnight on Thursday, mark a sharp reversal for Trump, who has long insisted that the sweeping import duties he imposed earlier this year are not fueling inflation. They may in some cases raise prices, Trump said of his tariffs when asked about the move aboard Air Force One on Friday evening. but he insisted that overall, the US has virtually no inflation. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.